Well, you coming?
We interrupt this program to bring you...
All right, everybody. My name is Kevin.
And I'm John.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Julie.
And we are the Real Movie Guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Review, the series where we review and discuss all your favorite movies. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of year again. It's Real Christmas. Real Christmas is a special event where we take a look at all your favorite Christmas/holiday movies. And on today's episode, we're taking a look at a modern-day classic, I would say, The Polar Express. On Christmas Eve, a young boy embarks on a magical adventure to the North Pole on the Polar Express while learning about friendship, bravery, and the spirit of Christmas. And what they don't tell you is Tom Hanks plays just about every character in this movie. Jokes aside. You know, I have a weird relationship with the Polar Express. This came out in the very special year of 2004. And why is that so special? They decided to use motion capture and animation. Robert Zemeckis had this fantastic idea of casting Tom Hanks as several different characters throughout a movie and adapting a 10-page child book into a almost 2-hour and 40-minute movie. And I think it comes out to mixed results, and a lot of that I think has to do, I'll say this, all right, I'm going to say this. I think a lot of it has to do, I don't know how well the technology has aged over time, and I think you can all agree with me. There's some really haunting crap in this movie when you look at some of the facial expressions. The story itself, great story. I think it actually is a really great Christmas story. I think it's fun. I think it's adventurous. If it's a little artificially inflated, and I think Tom Hanks, just does a little too much disservice to the movie by being so many different characters, in my opinion. But what I'm more curious is, I want to know what you guys think. Adam, let's start with you, my friend. I know you're a big fan of the Polar Express, so why don't you tell me what's going on with this one?
I love this movie.
Okay, explain, please.
Out of all the Christmas movies, this one captures the magic of Christmas the most.
Okay.
Or at least one of. It's so good. It's got everything. It's got the great music. It's got the great character development. And it's got the fantastic ending scene where you meet Santa Claus, who's the symbol of Christmas. How can you not like this?
So it's like the Thanksgiving Day parade, right? Like if I'm
That's
standing
it.
outside, I'm just watching, I'm enjoying it, I'm character developing right up until we meet Santa Claus at the end of the parade.
Yeah. You got all the music from Aerosmith.
I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me.
I didn't.
And you see the elf that looks like him singing.
Oh.
It's just terrifying.
It is him.
It is him.
I know, it's terrifying.
It's terrifying. And, there's nothing haunting at all about the visuals in this movie, is there,
Adam? Okay, next person.
Next person.
No
John,
comment.
No comment. We'll come back to you. We're going to talk about it. John, talk about it, my friend. What do you think of this one?
This movie's terrifying and terrible. So long. This movie would never, ever end. I felt like I was on the train for eternity. And even when we got to Santa Claus at the end, I was like, oh my god, do you just end this crap already? They made me hate Tom Hanks even more. I was just like, all right, Tom Hanks, you're overboard. Just go away now.
Wait,
Ouch.
even more?
Even
you already
more.
hate Tom Hanks and this made you hate him even more? Or this made you hate him in the first place?
The Simpsons movie, Tousle My Hair, Tom Hanks. He really tousles his hair.
I'm just curious because no one hates Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Everybody secretly hates Tom Hanks.
No.
They just don't tell.
No, that's not right. That's not right. But I can agree with you. I think there is a lot of issues with this movie that come in that regard. But what do you think of the Christmas story itself? Do you think it does have a genuinely good story behind it?
I mean, I guess if I can get through all the boringness of it, no. I think it's terrible.
Oh boy. All right. Well, we'll come back to Scrooge over there. Julie, how about you? What do you think on this one?
Oh man, so this year gave me a new perspective on this movie. I watch this movie every single year, but I'm watching it at school, so I'm only kind of half watching it while managing little munchkins. And I always thought I liked it. I thought I enjoyed it. Yes, I knew it had its creep factor. It was a little too long, whatever. We were watching it this year. I'm like, man, I hate these kid characters. They're all awful. They are awful. Every single one of them. It's too long, creepy. It needed to be shorter. Again, I'm a fan of the book. it should have been a short story because I like the beginning where he's getting on the train. He's like, what the heck is it? I don't buy it. And then I like the end where he's at first, he hears all the jingle bells and they're like, oh, isn't that the most beautiful sound? He can't hear it. Then he gets the bell, he can hear it, and he talks like, great. Everything else in the middle, except for the hot chocolate song, throw it out.
Oof. All right, Adam. Adam's seeing. All right, Adam. You got a defense on that one? Because I'm curious.
I love the hot chocolate song.
It's so good.
Right, but every other song.
I can see why you would feel that way, though.
Okay.
I'm pretty like I think it's just because they really are. I get it. I totally understand where everybody's coming from. It's because like I don't know, maybe it's just nostalgia for me. It's because I used to watch this when I was younger. You know,
okay. So that
that
could
was
be it too.
That's probably it for me, honestly. But I could absolutely see where everybody's coming from. So I don't blame you for anything that you've all said.
So except John, he's a little crazy over there, but we'll come back. We'll come back to him on that. Let's start with the visuals. So this is an interesting movie when it comes to the visuals because visually, outside of the character designs themselves, everything in this movie is fantastic looking. I really genuinely do believe that. The train, I think, is phenomenal, especially like the weather elements in this movie. Like when you see the train going through like the snowstorm and you see like the snow like blustering through and the winter landscapes in this movie, when they get to Santa's workshop and they have that huge reveal of Santa and stuff like that. I see the joy that Adam kind of senses here. I can actually kind of relate to that. I think that is a really powerful moment and it's just superbly done. I think the design is very imaginative. It captures almost what the story is trying to convey. Like if I were to read like a children's story of this, I actually never read the Polar Express children's story. So I know, shoot me, whatever. Oh no, Julie's got like laser eyes through me right now. Yeah, it's one of those. I never. Yeah. Oh, here we go. All right. So yeah, again, I never read the story, but I could see like those aspects I think coming through, and I know the story isn't that long, so I knew they didn't have that much material to drive on. So the stories that the scenes that they have here are phenomenal, right? My issue just comes to these character designs. I just can't for the life of me understand. You know, I felt like almost one of those things where we have the technology. That doesn't mean we should necessarily do it. And Robert Zemeckis was like, no, we're going to do it. We're going to motion capture the crap out of this with some creepy faces. And at times, I guess it looks fine at best. The children don't fare as worse as I think as the adults. But those zoom-ins, oh dear God. I mean, Tom Hanks can just be haunting at times, especially as the conductor, the guy on top of the train, the spirit or whatever he is on top of the train. This movie does a lot of a disservice with that, especially with some of the motions. Adam, do you think this could have fared better if it was just live action? I mean, they could have done it. I don't think there's really a huge gap between what could have been done with technology at the time just to have this live action. Or maybe a different art style would have fared a lot better. Like maybe a hand-drawn, really, at the time.
Just like classic animation.
Right.
Well, yeah, you know what? That probably would have made this movie that much more significantly better, I think.
I think you'd be treading on masterpiece level. I could see it, especially if you had some really nice, like, water illustrated kind of art. Even if we redid something now, I think you could tread on that level. I think it's possible, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's definitely a lot of potential there now that I think about it.
Yeah, because again,
I think this movie's due for like a redo.
Yeah,
I think so.
I could agree with that. How about you, John? What if you changed the art style completely? Do you think there's something to be had there?
Yeah, I think it will definitely be a lot better than this. But I feel like that's maybe the one thing too. Like, it just took you out of the movie too with some of the art style and stuff, and I felt like they could have done a lot more.
Right.
With that.
And it's funny because, so say you did that, right? So let's say we change the art style. We still have another problem, I think, to contend with. And I think we could all somewhat agree with this. The movie can be pretty boring, I think, at times. There's just really long stretches of nothing happening. Adam, as a defender of this movie, since you seem to be the most positive, do you think there's stuff that could have been trimmed out? Because, again, I'm not familiar with the short story, but it feels very... Not knowing like the main crux of the story, it does feel quite artificially inflated at times just to add to the scenes.
Man, the worst part for me is as soon as they get to the North Pole.
Yeah.
It feels like the entire hour before they actually get to Santa. It happens right there. Because it's like when the train car becomes what is it, unattached, and
Right. And there's
they
no
got to get
reason
back.
for it, right?
Like,
Like, I feel like
I'm never like remember it's happening, and then all of a sudden I get there and I'm like, damn it, we still have so far to go.
right, and there's like awkward scenes too, like with the guy with the calling of the reindeer, where he's like, oh, he's like roaring at the.
I
I
hate
really
that
didn't remember
part.
that scene.
Yeah.
Maybe I
Yeah,
tried
I
to block
blocked
it
that
out.
part out. I think.
Yeah, that's haunting. That's
They're
for
pulling
sure.
on his beard.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like there's stuff like that. I don't understand why it's in this movie. So to John's point, even if we change the art style, I don't know how much it would improve the flow of the movie necessarily, because I think some of these artificially inflated scenes just really hurt it. And do you think children are enjoying it? I mean, kids do watch this movie, so I shouldn't act like they don't. But personally, as if I were a kid watching this, I'd be a little bored at times, I think, with some of this inflation.
Yeah, there's like no chance in hell my kids would sit through this. Like, they'd be bored after like the first 20 minutes. I mean, but
But I think there is something there, though, right? I do think there is a good message there. It is a truly special Christmas message of a movie. And I think, Adam, that's what you find yourself attracted to. It is like the messaging in this movie, that believe message, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the end when they're giving their tickets back, and they're all learning their lessons that they overcame throughout the entire story. I love that scene.
Right. And
Yeah, that was cute.
it is cute. It is nice. And even the bell, I think that's that's a nice touch, like ringing the bell. Oh, I don't hear it because, adults and they don't believe. And so I think that's nice. I do. And I think that is kind of the magic we want our kids to see in Christmas. But Tom Hanks doing all the roles, come on. Come on now. We don't need all that. That's a little nonsense. Adam, you can't justify that. Tom Hanks is that great of an actor?
I'm okay with him as the conductor, and
Absolutely. That was the only character I was okay with.
I'm okay with him as Santa to a certain extent, but everything else I'm like, meh.
Meh.
Yeah, especially because he did the motion capture for the boy too, right?
Yeah.
I think he was going to, and then they got
They shouldn't have. I don't know if they did.
someone else to do it because they're
Okay.
like, he was supposed to do the boy's voice too,
Oh,
which
was
he does the
concerning.
adult boy
That's
and he does the boy's dad.
That's a weird like messaging right there, right? Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Santa. So is that supposed to be like metaphorical? Like your parents are Santa Claus, so your dad.
No,
sounds like
I think you're
Santa
thinking
Claus?
too deep into it.
Oh shit! Mind blown.
I
What's
don't think it was intentional.
what's the boy's real name? Does anyone know?
Hero boy,
Hero Boy.
Yeah.
hero girl.
Wasn't that from something? That was from like Hero Boy. That was from like a Dexter's Lab or something. And speaking of Dexter's Lab, if anyone remembers Mandark from Dexter's Lab, he's the really annoying kid that I want to punch in the face throughout this whole movie. Adam, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Don't even lie about it.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I know who you're talking about.
I hate that. Oh my god. I love him in Dexter's Lab. I think he's a fantastic character for all of us, childhood Dexter's Lab fans. But God, he's so annoying in that movie. Oh my god. And it's not even good. It's just bad. It's just really bad. That's definitely one of the more haunting things in my nightmares for this movie, beyond the weird visuals. But you got to give this movie some credit though. It is the first all digital captured film, which was pretty impressive, to be done in 2006. But again, you have to understand, Robert Zemeckis, man. Did you have to do it? Those are the questions I think we have to ask. And there's a reason though this is so popular. Adam, are you surprised by how popular this movie continues to be? Because there's always actually a lot of train rides. I know they have like the real train rides where you can ride like the Polar Express, and it's marketed very well, and kids do seem to enjoy it. I mean, Julie shows it every year in her class, and the kids do enjoy the movie. Are you surprised by the legacy this movie has for as popular as it is?
I'm not, honestly, because I think, for all the reasons that I still do enjoy this film, that I think it's justified for, the kids. They just love the magic of Christmas, and that's basically what this movie is about.
Yeah, and I guess that's where, as a reviewer, sometimes I have to find myself kind of like looking at the line between, what it does for the Christmas spirit as a holiday movie and what it actually does as an actual theatrical presentation. Surely, I don't agree with everything and all the choices in this movie, but there is something goddamn special about it that people still continue to talk about it today. Julie, you would say the same, right? I know you show it every year. And
I show it every year.
Yeah.
And the kids, they do enjoy it. They're singing along to the Hot Chocolate song. For the most part, they'll sit and watch this straight through as much as 20-something 7 and 8-year-olds can. But and they do enjoy it. They look forward to it every year. It's kind of like a no-brainer. Like, oh yeah, we're watching the Polar Express right before Christmas break. And like I said, it wasn't until I really got a finer look at the movie where I was like, and I always knew it had its flaws, but I was like, man.
And sometimes I wonder, John, if it's out of obligation sometimes. That would be my other argument for this, because I always wonder, like, A Christmas Story is a quintessential Christmas movie, which we're actually not reviewing this year, which we probably should have in hindsight. Maybe next year we'll actually take a look at that one. But everyone always talks about how wonderful A Christmas Story is and how, you have to watch it. It's the epitome of Christmas movies.
The 24 hours of Christmas Story.
It's really not that great of a movie. It's fine. There's really not much happens throughout it. But do you think Polar Express to some degree has come to that level, John, where we're just kind of feel like we have to watch it? Somehow that happened in society at some point?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like people feel like
obligated.
They get to a certain place and they're like, well, I watched it so many years in a row, I might as well keep going.
Yeah, but again, I don't know. Maybe more so than some of those others. I do think there is a charm. And without all that being said, guys, let's give our final scores on this one. I'm going to give The Polar Express a 6.8 out of 10.
Well, what did he look like? Did you see him?
No, sir. But sometimes seeing is believing. And sometimes the most real things in the world are the things we can't see.
I do personally not enjoy this movie a lot. That was a really weird statement the way I said that, but it's just the way I feel. I have so many mixed emotions about the Polar Express. I understand its existence. I understand the popularity. The visuals are absolutely stunning, minus the characters, but everything else I think is fine. The music's maybe not super memorable besides like the hot chocolate scene. But there is something special about this movie. That train rolling up in the snowstorm outside of a kid's window, it's magical. It definitely has its place, and I think the end is absolutely phenomenal, like Adam kind of said about this movie, the spirit of believing, and I think it really does capture that well. It's just there's a lot of issues in this movie I personally find myself having a hard time getting through as a grown adult, but maybe if I was younger and maybe if I grew up with this movie, I could kind of understand that a little bit closer, maybe have a better relationship with this movie. Maybe those nostalgia goggles would help just a little bit more for me to enjoy it. But I don't think it's a bad movie by any means. I don't think it's a terrible movie. I don't personally see the super enjoyment, and I kind of question how kids have a good time with this, but if they are, they are. I mean, who am I to say? It's interesting what can catch fire sometimes in these movies, but Polar Express, I would recommend it. If it's in rotation, give it a shot. Why not? It's not going to hurt anybody. If you find some enjoyment, I think it's there. Adam, how about you? What do you think on this one?
I'm going to give the Polar Express a flat 8.
Ah, yes. Young man with all the questions. Ticket. It's nothing I need to know.
I think it's worth it to watch it. I like the message at the end. I think it's worth the slog to get through, especially some of those other scenes. I mean, I definitely have to detract a few points for those few scenes that just take too long.
Right.
But I mean, overall, it's still going to be a staple every year for me. So I love it.
Yeah, and I think there is a good argument. I'm kind of glad we're on kind of polar opposites a little bit, no pun intended, on this subject. That was good though. All right, I'll put money in the bad pun jar for that. But I do think there is some enjoyment. I'm glad you kind of feel that way about that, because I think there is. It's tough when it comes to movies like this, especially these holiday movies where some become so popular. Like I know people are like that with The Grinch as well. The Grinch can be super loved by some and super despised by others. It's just kind of the way you fall on this. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But I do think it kind of balances very interestingly, and I'm glad you have that opinion, and I could support that. But I don't know. I'm still gonna have nightmares. John, how about you, man? What do you think?
I give the Polar Express a 4.2.
Okay. I believe. I believe.
Because Tom Hanks was in it, so I enjoyed Tom Hanks a little bit. but this movie was just too damn boring. It's crap you can't make up. I was just over it.
And you know
Way
what?
too.
It's funny because I can kind of support your opinion slightly there with that, because it can be very boring at times, to the point where I found myself nodding off a little bit, except for like the scenes like we talked about that even Adam enjoys. It's like those in-between scenes where I have a hard time getting through it, minus like the opening scene where he gets on the train, then the little adventure on the train with the hot chocolate. I nod off for a little bit, and then I wake up and Santa Claus is there. That's kind of how I find my enjoyment with this movie. So I could understand that. You know, and it's tough. You know, movies are a product of their time as well. So for the animation, I don't know. I want to knock it because, again, I don't think they should have done the full motion capture. They did perfect this later on a little bit better when Robert Zemeckis did A Christmas Carol. That was actually his other movie where he did attempt to do this with Jim Carrey, and to much more success, I think. I think that the time was a little bit better for it, and they had a little bit better of a time. But I got to give him some kudos for that. But that's a little low, man. I respect it. I can't say I agree with it, but God damn it, I respect it. All right, Julie, last one. What do you think on this one?
I'm going to give the Polar Express a flat 7 out of 10.
One thing about trains, it doesn't matter where they're going. What matters is deciding to get on.
As much as it does have a lot of flaws, this is something that I watch every year with my students. The message is great. It's just definitely overinflated. I think it would have benefited from maybe being like maybe a 30 to 40 minute short movie kind of thing. The visuals, when they're good, but when they're bad, they're really bad. And I really just find a lot of the kid characters to be very annoying and irritating, except for like the hero girl, which even she has her moments where she bothers me. So that, I don't know, it just irks me.
Yeah, and again, some of the pacing, I just think, even when they lose the ticket in the scene or they define
I hate that whole sequence. I hate that
like,
so much.
why did she lose her ticket? Like, it feels so artificially inflated.
Right. Because she left it on her seat and he had to go across train cars to give her the ticket, but then loses the ticket, and then he thinks she gets thrown off the train. It's stupid.
Yeah, again, it's artificially inflated. I wonder if this movie would have worked better as like just a short. I think that would have been significantly better, in my opinion. Maybe kind of like the more classical holiday shorts we get nowadays, or we used to get, I would say. Maybe like, like the Rudolphs and the Frosties and all that. I don't know how much Polar Express really... Yeah, I don't know how much Polar Express really needed this hour and 40-minute theatrical film. I think a shorter runtime would have significantly benefited this. Maybe even find people enjoying it. And that could still be done. Like we kind of said, I think if any movie needed a remake of some kind with some kind of more future-proof technology as far as like an art style and whatnot, I think this could be it. I think this one would benefit extremely from it, but I don't know. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. One of the best quotes from this movie, though, is "Seeing is believing, but sometimes the most real things in the world are the things we can't see." And it's hard to argue with a message like that. And like I said, in the comments below, let me know what you guys think. What were you seeing and believing when you watched The Polar Express? Am I missing something? Am I just a jaded old man not enjoying this? Is Adam too rose-colored glasses over there enjoying it too much? Is John just, I don't know where John is. He's kind of lost over there. And Julie, she's right in the middle as typical. So I want to know what you guys think, though. Do you love this movie? Is it a Christmas classic? Is it justified at the stance that it has? What do you think? I really want to know. But make sure you like and subscribe to this video. Let us know you're enjoying the content. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all for us today. We are the Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. That's Adam, John, and Julie. We'll catch you next time. Guys, like what you've seen here today, consider giving this video a like and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Real Movie Guys related, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Don't forget, all you audio listeners at home, we are available on many podcasting platforms. Just search for Real Movie Guys, it should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us on this episode of The Real Review. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Catch you next time.